Are you in the gap or the gain? So, in order to answer this question, first we got to explain a few things. So, this is a concept that Dan Sullivan created, and I learned about it in the book called 10x is easier than 2x. Now, as you guys know, I'm only in my first read through on this book, so I'm not an expert, and I am not extremely knowledgeable in it yet because I just read about the gap in the gain this morning. But pretty much most people's default mode is the gap. And what the gap is, it's all about comparing yourself or comparing your current relationships to ever changing standards that you've set or ever changing future goals or future strivings. So basically, if your goal is to make $2 million in a year, then you're in the gap. If you're functioning in the gap and your goal is to make $2 million in a year, then you will essentially make a lot more. So let's say you make progress. Let's say you go from making $10,000 a year to $900,000 a year. Now you didn't achieve your goal. However, you did increase your income by a significant sum, by an extremely large sum. But since you're in the gap, then you will be saying, "Oh, I didn't make my goal. I'm bad. I'm in a terrible position. I suck." Like you'll pretty much be not happy about it, even though you should be happy about making $900,000. And then let's say another example is if you reach your goal, if you make $2 million, then you'll probably find some other reason to be mad. Like maybe it took too long, or maybe I don't even know. Maybe you missed a few opportunities. So that's pretty much the gap, and that's most people's default standard mode of operating. Now, what the gain is, all right, let me explain this first. The gap and the gain are two different kind of mindsets when it comes to the world, or kind of worldviews, you could say. And they relate to the 10x process. So, first, some recap. Most people live in the 2x. And it's basically where they're not really pushing too hard. 80% of their actions are spent doing things they're already used to, things they're comfortable with. And then 20% is doing new actions, new uncomfortable things, things you're maybe not good at yet. So that's the 2x. And then the 10x is basically when you're living in that 20%. So instead of 20% of the actions being like new, it becomes 80% of the actions becoming new. So you basically go all in on that 20%. Like I like to think of the 20% as like the target for evolution and like target for self-improvement. You want to live in that 20% for the majority of your time. And the 10x allows for evolution and massive improvement. So one example is when you are crawling as a baby and then you learn how to walk. That's a 10x. That's a 10x jump is what Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy says. That's a 10x jump. So whenever you kind of evolve as a person or evolve as an entrepreneur or evolve as like a husband, boyfriend, or whatever it may be, then that's a 10x jump. So if you go from a blog, running a blog, to becoming an author, which is what James Clear and Dr. Hardy both did, then that's a 10x jump. And then one of the examples that he told about is Michelangelo. He was a famous sculptor or artist, and he basically wanted to learn how to sculpt a sculpture and he didn't know anything about anatomy, and he needed to know anatomy in order to create the sculpture that he wanted and like know how to create it. So, and the only way to study anatomy, was to kind of study the dead. And and it was illegal to do that, so he had to do it like at nighttime in the dark and kind of sneak around. And then he studied and he became the most masterful anatomist, or he became the most masterful at anatomy, and that allowed him to create the sculpture called the Hercules. And then eventually, like the Hercules was his first 10x jump, and then he created another sculpture called the David, and that was even more incredible than the Hercules, and that was his next 10x jump. And the David was like world famous. It was absolutely an astonishing sculpture versus the still good Hercules, but what Dr. Hardy says, it's kind of like comparing fast food to fine dining. You can't really compare it. But that's pretty much the 10x. And so let's go back to the gap and the gain. The gap is what most people's default mode is. And then the gain is what is better. So when you're doing the 10x process, when you're going 10x and you're operating in the gap, you still may make some progress, but it's going to be miserable. Like life is going to be miserable, and you're not really going to experience that much joy out of it. And then eventually you'll kind of burn out. So you won't be able to make that much progress for very long. Now, the gain is all about looking back at your past self and looking at all the progress that you made, all the achievements that you've made, and the progress that you've made within the past day, past month, past week, past month, past year, past decade. Like look back at all the progress that you made in the past up until this point. So look back at everything all the wins and even all the failures, and still interpret them as good because you learned something out of them. When you're operating in the game, it's basically following coordinating intention. Except it's more of a hindsight thing, is what I've come to understand so far. So coordinating intention is a transurfing principle. And in transurfing, I learned about it in Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeland. And coordinating intention is basically interpreting everything, every event that happens as positive, as good. Now, this is actually because whenever you experience an event, you're at a crossroads. So you're at a road. When you're experiencing the event, you're at a road. And there's two options. You can either go left or you can go right. And depending on which way you choose, it'll have a positive outcome or a negative outcome. And this is with any event in life. So literally anything. When you stub your toe, when you pass your test, when you receive a check in the mail, literally any possible experience in life, you're at a crossroads. And the way you choose the outcome is by your attitude towards that. So your relationship to that problem. So if you choose to express satisfaction or joy and happiness, then you'll take that positive route. Whereas if you express dissatisfaction, angst, discomfort, unease, like anger, all the negative emotions, then you'll take that negative route, and then life will go down from there, and then you'll get another negative event, and another, and another. And that's pretty much what coordinating intention is. It's to perceive all things that happen as good, and perceive everything that happens to you as it happens for you. Like everything happens for you it happens for you in your progress towards your goals. That's pretty much what coordinating intention is. Coordination. And there's a lot of like pretty much everything that the 10x rule, like the 10x is easier than 2x is all about. It's all in transurfing as well, except he phrases it more scientifically, and there's a lot more actual science to back it up. Whereas in transurfing, there's no real like scientific studies. Like he doesn't have like at the end of a scientific book, they always have the studies and then like the sources that they use and all the like experiments and all of those things. There's none of that in transurfing. He basically says like how the world is and then says to test it and prove it for yourself. He basically writes down exactly, I'm talking about transurfing right now. Transurfing, he basically writes down everything that he's learned of how the world works. And then he says, don't believe me, just try it out yourself. Experiment and prove or disprove it for yourself. And I did that. I proved it, and it works because one of the highest things that has happened to me that proved the transurfing principles work, this proved the visualization principle. So I had never visualized anything before visualizing Funnel Hacking Live. And I didn't even know if it was possible. I was a skeptic of it because, quite honestly, my sister talked about visualizing, and I didn't believe her that it was possible. And then I read Transurfing, and I learned about visualization, and I tried it, and I wanted to go to Funnel Hacking Live, so I visualized it, and I visualized it like every single day for a few weeks, and then I kind of stopped. And the one visualization, like the one thing that I visualized was me sitting in a seat at an angle, looking up at the speaker at Funnel Hacking Live. And this specific angle, I want to like bring some attention to, because when I was visualizing, I didn't pay it any attention that I was looking at like this specific particular angle. It was just the most natural thing for me to visualize that. So I visualized that from that angle every single time. And then literally on the first day, spoiler alert, I went to Funnel Hacking Live, and on the first day, day one of the event, I literally, we were just walking down, and I completely had forgotten about my visualization, to be honest. Even though it had come true already, but I forgot that I visualized for this because I stopped probably a few weeks before the actual event. I stopped visualizing a few weeks before. So we walk around, try and find seats. We can't find any. And then we find these seats. We find 2 seats on the far left of the event, like the furthest left row. And so I was like, okay, nice. We found seats pretty close to the front. And we were just sitting there and just talking to people around us, kind of getting excited. And then, like, it hit me. Probably we'd been sitting there for 30 minutes, and it hit me. I looked up, and that was the exact scene that I visualized. The exact scene. I looked up at that exact angle. At the exact angle, and I saw a speaker up there. And then I like looked over to my friend sitting next to me, and I was like, this is crazy. This is the exact scene that I visualized. Like the exact scene, the exact angle, the exact thing. It is absolutely mind-blowing to me. And so I believe in transurfing now. I believe in 100%, like, because I proved it for myself. And everyone has to prove it for themselves. But I want to talk about the 10X. You don't need to prove it because it's proved by science. It's backed by science, which is why I like that. So you still should prove it for yourself, because why wouldn't you just do it? We've just follow the 10X process. So I'm talking about when you go 10X, when you follow the 10X process, you want to be operating in the gain. And the gain, like I said, is essentially coordinated intention. perceiving everything as positive. Except Transurfing's coordinating intention is more like current. So if I were to stub my toe right now and I followed the coordinating intention principle, then I would be happy about it. I would like rejoice. I would be joyful. But what the gain is all about is kind of in hindsight. It's not really about present. It's kind of in hindsight. So whenever you look back at the progress that you made, so let's just use me as an example. Today's October 5th when I'm recording this, and excuse me, today's October 5th, and I started reading books about a year and a month ago. So about 13 months ago. And the books that I was reading were, when I first started, I didn't really know anything about health, diet, fitness. I knew a little bit about fitness, but I didn't know about anything about worldview or mindset. And I didn't really have that clear of a mind. I was still on TikTok. I don't know if I was on TikTok. I was definitely on YouTube. I was still on YouTube. I was still playing video games. I was just still doing a lot of the bad habits. And so if I were to if I were to be in the game right now, then I would look back and I'd see, wow, I made so much progress. Not even a year ago, I was still playing video games. Not even a year ago, I wasn't even taking cold showers. Not even a year ago, I didn't know anything about worldview. Not even a year ago, I, like literally less than 3 months ago, I had never recorded a single episode on a podcast. I didn't record a single podcast episode. Actually, maybe 3 months ago was my first episode. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure. Let's just say 4 months ago. 4 months ago, I was just learning about business. I was just picking up my first books on business. My first book that I read about business was .com Secrets. And that is absolutely insane for me to think, because I've learned so much on business. I've come such a long way. Now, my goal, or kind of like what I was striving for over summer, I was trying to move out before school started. That was my goal. I was trying to move out in like 1 or 2 months. Now that didn't happen, and spoiler alert, I'm 2 months into school and I'm still not moved out. But doesn't matter, because I came so far already. I progressed so far, and that's all about the gain. If I were in the gap, then I would be mad because I didn't move out when I wanted to. I haven't moved out yet. I'd be mad. I'd be disappointed, and I wouldn't see the joy or I wouldn't see the actual improvement that I've made in my current life. So that's pretty much what the gap and the gain are. So let's go back. Are you in the gap or are you in the gain? So like I said, most people's default mode is the gap, and you want to be in the gain. And so this is kind of what I think that I've been in the gain a little bit, because I tend to always like look back at my progress and be super excited. And like I said about how I wasn't moving out, how I didn't move out yet, I wasn't too like disappointed about that. I wasn't like pissed or anything. I just kind of realized that I made a lot of progress and kept on moving forward. And I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot more progress to come, because once I'm done with 10x is easier than 2x, I'm going to be reading my first book about how to be an influencer, or how to be like a social media content creator. And this is episode 78, I think. So episode 78, and I've never really read anything about how to podcast, because last night I literally, sometimes when I'm falling asleep, I kind of get this message in my head. Like I remember one time I got this message to, I don't remember. I don't know, but sometimes I just get simple messages. So last night when I was starting to fall asleep, and I was like in my bed laying down, head already down, I was starting to fall asleep. I got this message in my head, and it was like, how to become a better podcaster. And so I was like, oh wow, that's important, because I never looked that up, and I'm 77 episodes in. I've practiced a lot. I've proved that I'm in it for the long game. Or actually, I don't know if I've proved it yet, but I've proved that I can stay consistent. I'm already in the top 1% of videos posted. I'm already like doing all this, but I haven't had any results. Like I still have 6 or 7 subscribers. I have like less than 1,000 downloads and like all time downloads. So I'm not having that much results. So but it makes sense because I have heard that the results don't come right away, and that's obviously why I'm in it for the long game. But I'm pretty much plateaued. Like my graph is pretty much the same as it was when I first started, like first month or first week. So kind of plateaued, but that's why I think it's important to be a better podcaster. Because another thing is a huge part of the 10x process is operating on quality over quantity. And right now, I became conscious of this since I started reading the 10x is easier than 2x. I became conscious that I've been operating on quantity, which is 2x. I've just been kind of repping out all of the episodes, kind of just sending them out there. No, like, no real editing, no preparation. I kind of just come downstairs, sit down, hit record, and start talking. Now, yes, I have made a few tweaks and improvements. Like I got rid of my intro, and what else did I do? I started every episode with a hook. But that's like slight things. I haven't really improved the quality too much of my episodes. And so that's why I wrote down yesterday, focus on quality over quantity, because Mr. Beast focused all on quality. Like he didn't post daily, or at least I don't think. Now maybe he didn't when he first started, but right now he's not posting daily. I haven't checked his uh I used to watch him like when I was watching YouTube a long time ago, probably like a year ago. But I haven't checked his channel in like probably a year. But I remember that he was not posting daily. He would probably post like once a week, maybe once a month. I don't know. And I remember hearing one of his things. And this was before I knew about 10x or anything like much self improvement. I remember hearing him say, like, I spent like millions or thousands of dollars on this one episode or this one video, and I decided to scrap the whole thing and just delete it. And I was thinking, like, that is crazy. He didn't even post episode that he like spent a lot of money on. He didn't even post it. And now looking back at it on hindsight, it's because he hyper focused on quality over quantity. Like he could have simply added another episode to his channel by posting that, but it may not have been up to his standards for quality. And so he scrapped it and knew that quality is way more important than quantity. Which brings me back to my podcast. I've been recording an hour every single day for the past 70 days. Less than that, but I've been recording hour episodes for months now. And that's quantity. I haven't focused on quality at all. Like I said, the only thing I did was cut out the intro. That's nothing. So, and to be honest, I forgot to look it up because it was last night when I said it, and I wanted to get my podcast finished recording soon because I'm back on my sleep routine. So I want to talk about this. This is kind of This is kind of a complete topic switch, but so probably like a week before I left for Funnel Hacking Live, I was going to bed at 6 o'clock, 6:30 every single day. And I was consistent every single day. I'd go to bed at that time. I would never stay up late. And I would also like cut out all my screens, everything probably like an hour before I even went to bed, or even an hour and a half, like a decent amount of time before I even went to bed. Maybe even 2 hours. I'm not sure, but pretty much I would do that. And then I would, every single night, I'd have the same exact experience. I would go to bed at 6 or 6:30, and then I'd wake up at 9:45, the same exact time every single day. I'd wake up, go to the bathroom, look at the clock, and it was 9:45 on the dot every single day, and then I'd go to bed. And that would happen night after night after night because I was consistent with going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time. 9:45 exactly to go to the bathroom. And then I would always like wake up right like 10 minutes before my alarm, which was perfect because then I could start my nighttime or my morning routine a little bit early and get a little bit more reading time in. And then like probably a week leading up to Funnel Hacking Live, I started kind of spending a lot more time in the basement, or kind of getting to the basement later. And so as a result, I ended up not even leaving the basement until like 5:45. Usually I would leave at like 4:45 at the latest. And then lately I've been like, or a week before Funnel Hacking Live, which was like 2 weeks ago, I would start going up at 5:45, 6, around there. So as a result, I didn't go to bed until like 7, and I only had 1 hour off of screens. So that's bad because, and as a result, I didn't wake up at the same time. I woke up at like 2 instead, which was way closer to my waking time, so it was harder to get to bed again, which I was always able to get to bed again, but it would mess up my waking, which as a result, I would not wake up 10 minutes before. I would wake up like right on the dot when my alarm goes off. And then as a result, I was more tired throughout the day. And this actually impacted a lot. One, there's two markers that I use to measure how high quality or how much I'm sleeping. And the first one is by my reading, how focused I am while I'm reading. So during this time when I was going to bed at 7, my focus for my reading was scattered. I had to reread a lot. I had to reread the sentence I just read multiple times, and it was slow. As a result, I didn't learn as much. And then the second method that I used to measure how long I slept and how high quality it was is my meditation. How focused I am during my meditation. And during this time, my meditation was not too focused. I would click out, or I would literally fall asleep the entire time. So it was basically a nap. And so it's kind of a waste of, not a waste of time because a nap is better than nothing, but I wasn't really progressing that far in my meditations. And then during Funnel Hacking Live that week, we were going to bed really late, like 12 o'clock one night. I'm pretty sure we were like, I didn't hit the pillow until like 12:10 or something like that, like really late. That was the latest I'd stayed up all year. So as a result, I was literally falling asleep during the entire meditation. Not good. And my focus was not as good. And then when I came home from like the night that I went to bed, when I was home, I went to bed at like 8. So then I woke up at 4, and I was getting back to my normal routine, but I was still falling asleep. And that was Monday. Falling asleep during all of my meditations, not really focusing that much in my reading. And then on Tuesday, Same thing. Fell asleep at 7, and then I realized that I needed to fix this. So Wednesday I fell asleep at 6:30. Last night I was in bed at 6:10, 6:15. So that's huge. And I'd still kind of fell asleep during these meditations, but I'm catching up. I think that I'm catching up on my sleep because it takes a little bit of time to catch up, and then I'll be able to get back to my meditations pretty much. I'm still meditating 3 times a day, but I'm not focused and I'm basically like falling asleep during it. So it's not very effective, but that's pretty much why sleep is extremely important. And I don't remember what I was going to tie this back to. 10x. I was talking about the 10x, and I was saying that I don't even know, but pretty much this is why your nighttime routine is so essential, because that's why I didn't look up how to be a better podcaster. That's why I didn't look it up yet, because I'm going to look it up after while I'm editing the podcast. Like, because I have to sit here for like 30 minutes to wait for it to upload and edit and all that stuff. So that's when I'm going to be looking up how to podcast better, because that's extremely important, how to podcast better. And then also I'm going to be learning how to be a better content creator and influencer once I'm done with 10x is easier than 2x, which I'm over halfway done with this book so far. I'll probably be done within the week. So Sunday I'll be done probably, and then I'll work on the content, or it's called create don't capture. And that book is only like 150 pages long, and it's small. It's a small book, so I'll probably finish that in 1 or 2 days. So, and then on Monday is when Tufti the priestess comes. So, I'm gonna be getting back into the transurfing mindset, because when I read Transurfing the first time, I didn't really do much to retain the information in my head. So literally, like, it took me probably a day or a week for me to just completely get off the wavelength of transurfing. Now, today I am doing different, because I stopped reading Transurfing the second time through, because the first time through, after I finished, I kind of forgot like pretty much everything, which was evident because I was reading it the second time through, and it was basically like I was reading it for the first time ever, because I was relearning all this stuff, which I didn't even remember learning in the first place. But I'm doing it different because I read it probably like a week ago, and then I am working on the Transurfing review. And what that is on my channel there is Transurfing Principles episodes 1 through 8. So throughout my channel history, I've posted episodes called Transurfing Principles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's basically me like reviewing what I learned and recapping what I learned in that section of the book. Usually like 1 or 2 weeks of studying, like the past 1 or 2 weeks of studying, I would recap in an episode. And I'm due for episode 9 soon. And that's pretty much what I'm doing to retain all this information in my head. At nighttime during my journaling while I'm icing my balls, and I'm done journaling and I still have like minutes left on my icing session, I go through my Transurfing journal and I write out the review. So I'm basically rewriting a bunch of the stuff. So I'm still trying to retain all this information. Plus, the first time I read it, I didn't really read anything related to transurfing right after, or at least like a month or 2 after. It took me like a month or 2 to go back to transurfing. So I forgot pretty much everything. And so instead, what I'm doing is I'm retaining through the review, plus I'm going to be reading Tufti, the priestess, which is all about transurfing as well. It's basically it's another book that Vadim Zeland wrote about transurfing, except I'm pretty sure the point of it is I actually don't really know. Pretty much all I know is that it's about a priestess, like a fictional character he made up, or maybe not fictional, I'm not sure. A character that basically tells you what to do in Transurfing or something like that. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be getting back into the Transurfing mindset, but that's going to be one of the 7 books that I'm reading. And that book doesn't, Tufti doesn't come until Monday, and today is Thursday. Today is Thursday. So I've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I got 4 days to finish 10x is easier than 2x and create, don't capture. But if I don't finish them, no big deal. I'll just extend it and not worry about Tufti in a little bit. And Tufti is one of 7 books I'm going to be reading. And I have all the books. Dancing After the Music Stops, Die Wise, Come of Age, Ascent on Humanity, Journey Out of Bodies, Tufti, and the Egypt Code. So those are all the 7 books I'm going to be reading next. And if you guys haven't heard, I'm using the reading method where you read all 7 at once. So basically, you pick up one, read until you lose focus, and then switch to the next. Read until you lose focus, and then repeat. Interspersed with push-ups every once in a while. And that is a reading method that Jean Pascal Riemann, I think is his name, the author of the Dancing After the Music Stops, he basically recommended using that reading method, and you'll be able to read a book a day. So I don't know. I'm barely able to read a book a week. So if I can read a book quicker than a week using this reading method, because I assume reading a book a day with that method, you have to be reading like a lot of hours, but I'm only going to be reading like 1 hour every day. So if I can read quicker than a book a week, then it'll definitely be worth it. And if I can retain it, then it'll definitely be worth it. If I can't retain it, I'm not going to do it anymore. But if I can retain it and I can read it quicker, then I'm 100% going to be doing it. That's why I'm practicing on these books, because I don't want to practice on a business book and not retain it. But that's pretty much where I'm at with the next stage. Let me get some water. And so going back to the 10x process, focusing on quality over quantity. I'm not really sure kind of what to do, because obviously right now I'm focusing on quantity. But I want to maintain this level of quantity, but I also want to improve my quality. So let me explain. The whole, like, kind of the reason why I'm podcasting, like the original reason why I started podcasting was because in Expert Secrets, Russell Brunson said, if you post on your show every single day for an entire year, you'll never have to worry about money again. So if you post 365 episodes on your podcast within a year, like in a year, every single day, daily uploads, then you'll never have to worry about money again. So pretty much I want to prove that as fact. That's pretty much why I started the podcast. However, I'm doing 1 hour a day, which I'm not sure if he intended on long form videos every single day, like an hour a day, like I'm doing. Maybe he intended like 10 minutes a day, but I'm doing an hour a day. And so far it's working out fine. Like I have an hour every day. I have the exact time that I need to record and edit and post. But 1 hour every day is a lot of quantity. A lot of quantity. And so I need to be focusing on quality, because the only thing that I'm focusing on quality is pure reps. Like just getting the reps in and always improving just by pure practice. So that's why I need to focus on quality, and I don't even know where to go. Oh, excuse me. I got to get some water. I got hiccups. I don't even know where to start. That's just why I'm just going to look up how to be a better podcaster. I'm simply just going to start with that simple Google search and then see where it takes me, and then I'll start implementing in tomorrow's episode. Which is also why I'm excited to read the book Create, Don't Capture, because I'm pretty sure it's going to talk about how to be a better influencer. Because with that said, I also, ever since Funnel Hacking Live on the first day, they talked all about shorts and like posting daily on TikTok and posting short form videos. So I started doing that because I originally I didn't post ever, but I started recording shorts probably on like the first 6 episodes of me podcasting, but I realized that it was too much for me to handle at the time because I didn't have a positive feedback loop on podcast yet. But during Funnel Hacking Live, now that I have a positive feedback loop on podcasting, I'm doing 3 shorts every day. So I'm posting 3 TikToks and 3 YouTube shorts every single day. And I schedule them for the future so they match up with my current episode release, like the podcast, because I do 3 daily lessons in every single podcast. Today's 3 daily lessons are the gain versus the gap versus the gain. And then it's also, what else was there? Focus on quality over quantity. And sleep is extremely important, but I'm pretty sure there's another one. So the actual lessons that I write down may be different because I also have 19 minutes left to talk. But that's right now I'm posting 3 TikToks every single day. And I started recording them at Funnel Hacking Live, so probably like a week ago. Less than a week ago, actually. No. More than a week ago. I don't even know. I forgot. I started recording them a little over a week ago, and the first ones published yesterday, I want to say. And so the first 2, because yesterday is when I checked them. After yesterday's episode, I checked the 2 that published yesterday. I post 3 times a day, one at 6 in the morning, one at 12 in the afternoon, and then one at 6 in the afternoon. But the time zone's kind of messed up because I scheduled the first ones in Florida, so that's like 1 hour ahead. So the first couple ones are at like 5 instead of 12, or instead of 6, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go back to 6. And the first 2 shorts or TikToks, I don't know, but the first 2 got 50 views each, around 50 views each, and then one of them got 2 likes. So that's awesome. That's already more views than I got like in the past probably past like 10 podcasts that I've recorded. So, and the reason why I'm doing this is to get more viewers, more organic traffic onto my podcast. Like that's the whole point of doing TikToks. Plus, it's another extremely good method to find my voice and become a more effective and efficient speaker. Because one of the extremely great benefits of podcasting that I still think is the most valuable piece to becoming a podcaster is you improve your speaking so much. Like when I first started, my speaking was terrible. And I remember saying that I'm not sure if I said it in the first episodes when I was posting them, but definitely in the episodes that I had no intention on posting. Like I recorded 14 episodes that I had no intention on posting on Voice Memos app on my phone. And I remember saying like, yeah, I suck at podcasting. I suck at speaking, but I'm going to keep it up because this is an extremely valuable practice. This is extremely valuable practice for me to get better at speaking. And I'm glad I did because now I don't suck so much at speaking. I still have a long way to go to where I want to be, but I'm so much better off than where I was before, especially like in school and like in public social situations. I'm so much more clear at my speaking, and I'm able to kind of talk from like the flow, or kind of like talk from nothing. Cuz I remember when I used to raise my hand to speak in class, I used to have to like pretty much quickly memorize what I was going to say, or kind of come up with how I was going to say beforehand, but now I can like get cold called and literally just start talking. So that's a huge benefit to podcasting, which I think is way more valuable than the monetary gain. And I haven't even gotten the monetary gain yet, which I'm sure my opinions will change once I get the monetary gain. But he also talked about that. Last night I was so excited to start the Create Don't Capture. I was right before I like started my meditation, and I was putting away my ice pack and putting away my journal. I read like the back summary, and I read like one of the chapters, and one of the chapters in that book is finding your voice, and I read like a part of it, and he said the most beneficial, or the most impactful, the best part to being a content creator is finding your voice, your purpose, and your passion and your calling. Like that's the best part, finding your voice. Which I think I found my voice, and I'm still getting better and better every day. And I definitely agree. Like so far that's the best part. Now I haven't gotten any of the monetary gain yet, so I can't really speak, but the best part that I've gotten so far is finding my voice. Again, I think I found my voice, but maybe in the future, once I get more better at this, and once I'm on like episode 200, maybe I'll look back and be like, yeah, you did not find your voice. I don't know. That's something that only time will tell. But I'm really looking forward to. But I want to point that out. We were just talking about the gap in the gain, and I went off again about talking about my past and how much I've improved. Yet I'm still realizing that I've got a long way to go, and I'm still realizing that I have a lot of improvement to make. That is the gain. That's what the gain is all about. Looking at your past and seeing all the progress that you made. Like I was just reminiscing on the episodes that I didn't even publish. I didn't even publish them, and like they were recorded 80 days ago, more than 80 days ago, and I'm reminiscing on how much I've improved. Like that's the gain. That's the mindset you need to have. Which I think is completely different to what I interpreted from Dr. Hardy's speech. He spoke at Funnel Hacking Live, and he was talking about most people create their present based off the past, but what you should do is create your present based off the future. And I interpreted that as you shouldn't look at your past and interpret your past at all. Like you shouldn't think fondly or negatively of your past at all. And I remember walking with my friend talking after that, and we were both talking about the past, and I was like, I don't even know if I like I don't even know if I broke that law or broke the 10x rule or the 10x process. I don't even know if that was like destructive. I don't even know if that was destructive. And neither did he, because neither of us read the book yet. But now I'm realizing that that was actually beneficial. That's the gain. You should be looking at how far you've come and realizing that that was good. Like you've actually come a long way. So I'm excited about the future. And this is what you guys got to get to. You guys got to get to the point to where you're excited for the future. You're looking forward to all the future progress and the future improvements that you've made. So I want to talk about Do It Now. Back when I was getting into business, I joined this 5-day challenge called Your First Funnel Challenge by ClickFunnels. And I remember one of the speakers talked about do it now. She basically, like, that was her whole speech. It was like the inspirational speech. And it was so important that I actually wrote down do it now on a piece of paper and wrote it on my desk. And I still have it there to this day. I don't really look at it that often, but I needed something to talk about, and I looked over at it, and I want to talk about doing it now, because one of the things that I realized at Funnel Hacking Live is all of the presenters, there's like two types of presenters. There's a content, like tactical strategic speaker, where they're just teaching you things, and they can have like inspiration sprinkled in, but mainly they're teaching. And then there's a different type of speaker, which is inspirational. And these inspirational speakers, pretty much all of their things that they've said, like Tim Shields is just giver. I don't even know any of the other ones. Just giver just stuck with me. But pretty much all of these motivational speakers, they all stem from something. And it's just do it, or just start and don't stop. Like that's pretty much all they're focused on teaching you. They all have different like manifestations of saying it. Like Tim Shields is just giver. It just basically means just do it anyways, slay the fear. And then others have different versions of saying it, but essentially just start. Like start and don't stop. Literally just start. Start now. Do it now and don't stop. And I'm a big fan of making things as easily as possible for you. I feel like you should be able to achieve anything you want as easy as possible. You should be able to achieve things fairly easily, which is why I make a lot of systems, which I learned. I didn't realize that they were called systems, but I learned what systems were just from looking into James Clear. I never read his book, Atomic Habits, but I do know that in Atomic Habits, he talks about making systems. So I make a lot of systems in my day to make things easy. Like I do the same thing every single day, and I make sure that those things that I'm doing every day are helping me move towards my goals, helping me improve a lot. Like I meditate, I read, I work out, I podcast. Like I do every single thing that I do every day. And when I read that excerpt from Expert Secrets of if you post on your show every single day for an entire year, you'll never have to worry about money again. I wanted to do that, but I was paralyzed in inaction because I was so scared. I was so nervous. And so I knew that I just needed to start. It doesn't matter if I just needed to build the habit of doing it every single day. So what I did was I didn't want to post it because I was too scared to post. So I got on my Voice Memos app, and every single day I just hit record and talked for like 5-10 minutes and then ended it. And I did that for 14 days, and I was like, okay, I've built up my confidence. It's now or never. I need to start posting, start recording for real. So then I made my channel, and then the next day, on day 15, I recorded the trailer. The second trailer I actually recorded, because the first trailer I recorded was on the Voice Memos app. But the second trailer I recorded, and the one that was published, is on my channel. And that's because on the 15th day, I was just like, okay, I just need to move to the next step. I've done 14 days of this. Now it's time to move on. Now it's time to actually be serious about this and start. So I started, and then I also wanted to make it easier. I wanted to make it easy as well. So what I did was I wanted to schedule the videos for 5 days in advance. Or at least I didn't know how. There was 2 reasons why I scheduled videos. So when I recorded that trailer, I scheduled it for the next Monday, which happened to be 5 days in advance, 5 days in the future. And I did this for 2 reasons. One, I was too scared to post it right away. I wanted to just kind of schedule it and then let it go, like leave it and not have to worry about it posting under my knowledge. I just had to set it in motion and not have it like instantly materialize because I was too scared, like I said. So that's one way I made it easy on me, by having it have a future problem, and then in the future I just will let it happen. And then another reason why is because I wanted to have a cushion just in case I missed a day or 5 days. Now, in hindsight, I didn't need a cushion at all because there's only like 3 times when I missed uploads. And that was when I went to my Ohio to visit my grandparents one weekend, and then I went to Michigan to visit my sister one weekend, and then I went to Funnel Hacking Live one week. And on Funnel Hacking Live, I only missed 2 days. So in hindsight, I didn't really need that much, but it's nice because it's the peace of mind, and that's a way to make it easy because I was telling my friend about this because my friend doesn't have any scheduled. He kind of just has it posted the next day or the next day. So he's basically forced to every single day. He operates under necessity, not want. So that is a big thing in 10x is easier than 2x. Operate under want, not necessity. Because when you're operating under want, then it's abundance. You're an abundance mindset. But when you're operating under need, it's scarcity mindset. And there's other different things why, but pretty much he needs to record every day because he doesn't have that cushion. He doesn't have that upload schedule. Whereas I want to record every day because I've freed up my kind of necessity by having a 5-day schedule. Tomorrow, if I don't want to record, I don't have to record, which makes me want to record. Like it's this weird reverse psychology. And that's extremely important. Make things as easy as possible, but also get yourself in that wanting mindset. Like you should want to do things. Like I want to record every single day. And actually this is where I was when I was going to the gym. I wanted to go to the gym every single day. I would go 7 days a week. It's crazy. True story though. And then on days when I didn't go to the gym, I would feel like crap. Like I wanted to go to the gym so bad. But now it's different. Like I want to go to the gym, but not every day because now I want to record every day, which I can go to the gym every day and record every day, but I want to have that extra time. I want to focus on business a lot more, but that's a different story. Right. So I'm getting to the point where I'm in that 7 days a week for podcasting now. So I want to record 7 days a week. I don't need to go to the gym 7 days a week. I don't need to record 7 days a week, but I want to. And that's a big change. That's a big game changer. Operate under want and not need. And that's like a big premise to the 10x is easier than 2x. Be a wanter, not a needer. The majority of people operate under need. And as a result, you have to justify your needs because when you need something and you receive that, you're basically taking it away from someone else. Whereas if you want something, you create that. So you're not taking it from anyone else. You're creating your own wealth. That's the difference between wealth and money. Wealth you can create. Like you can get some tools and some polish and restore a beat up car and create wealth out of thin air. Now you've created you turned a $500 rust bucket into a $20,000 a $20,000 what's the word that I'm looking for? Antique car or something like that. So now you've created wealth out of thin air. That's the difference because money money is a finite game. Wealth is an infinite game. That's needing is a finite game. wanting is an infinite game. You can infinitely expand the rules of the game. Like, that's the difference. Wanters want to play the game to continue the game. Needers play the game. Those are the concepts in the 10x is easier than 2x that I'm still kind of wrapping my head around. But it all goes along with transurfing, which is why it's so great. But that's the end of the episode. So to wrap things up, don't forget to download your favorite episodes and subscribe to the Ascend Momentum Show. But before you guys leave, make sure to look up at the sky.